Concerns are being raised that millions of poor and underprivileged children in India are at risk of being forced into child labor due to the coronavirus pandemic. Child welfare organizations in the country are sounding the alarm at a time when significant numbers of jobs have been lost in India's informal sector during lockdowns. The fear is children of out-of-work parents could be trafficked to fill the gap. Here's more on a crisis that could erase decades of progress made in combating child labor.
Down with child trafficking. Boys and girls learn through play with child welfare advocate Rakesh Sengher. Child trafficking is a daily reality in India. Children are sometimes kidnapped, others are forced by their parents to work. 15-year-old Nujat Parveen has just returned from visiting relatives in the countryside. I was visiting my uncle in Uttar Pradesh. On the bus ride back, I saw lots of small children all on their own, begging on the side of the road. Rakesh Sengher teaches children how to defend themselves. For years, he has been working with a charity group to fight child trafficking. He says the pandemic has made the situation even worse. Children are in great demand as a form of cheap labor. When adult migrant workers returned to their villages, demand for cheap labor increased. Child labor is used to compensate. Since the schools are closed due to the lockdown, parents have been sending their children away to work. This child laborer was found during a raid on a bakery in Delhi. 15 boys were rescued from restaurant kitchens and workshops. In recent months, the foundation has freed more than 1,000 children being held in slavery-like conditions. Signs of worsening poverty on the streets of Delhi. Child beggars existed even before the pandemic, but now millions of middle-class Indians have lost their jobs and laid off their servants. These children are helping to feed their families. Kailash Satyarthi has established a children's foundation, which has grown into a nationwide network. Its mission? Raising awareness among Indians about the need for child welfare.
The biggest threat is that millions of children may fall back into slavery, trafficking, child labor, child marriages. School would be denied.
These children walk along the train tracks in Delhi. They hope to earn money from selling plastic bottles. According to UNICEF, there are more than 10 million child laborers in India, most younger than 9 years old. That's why Rakesh Sengher has invited mothers to this event. He stresses the importance of sending children to school. He encourages the boys and girls to demand a good education. The school was not good at all. It didn't even have water. We wrote to the head and complained about the lack of water. We even spoke to city council members about it. I've come here to help find a solution. A school play shows what it's like for many poor children, how they're drugged and kidnapped. But these children are learning where they can turn to for help.
And joining us for more is Mr. Dhananjay Tingal. He's Executive Director of the child rights NGO Bachpan Bachao Andolan. Mr. Tingal, your organization claims to have rescued more than 1,000 children from exploitative conditions in the last few months. Isn't this a job the government should be doing?
This is true, but the rescue operations which have been done, we have done it with the support of the government only. And because you cannot do a rescue and you cannot stop a children from any vehicle cannot be stopped without the permission, without the involvement of the government. So we have been doing it along with the government. Surely the identification has been done by us. We have identified more than about 1,200 children we have rescued in last, since the lockdown started. And from 1st April, I can say that. We have rescued around 1,200 children. And in last 1 month, 1.5 months, the children who were being trafficked back to work from Bihar, we have rescued more than 300 children, such children whose information we got from our teams in working in the source districts from where the children were coming. And previously the children, we found the children working during the lockdown also. There were the industries in which They were staying inside, they were working. Some of the children were stuck up. They were trafficked. The work has stopped. Trafficker has stopped giving them food and all that. There had no money, nothing. So those kind of children also were rescued who were basically the victims of trafficking, and they were facing problems. So it's a work of the government, and government supported us in rescuing it. And that is, you're right, but government has been with us.
Right. You're talking about these children who've been working in exploitative conditions, but I'd just like to know from you about migrant laborers who already are struggling to make ends meet. I wonder if they really have any other option than to put all available hands, including their children, to work.
That is true. The conditions because of which the children were being trafficked from the source district was because of the poverty in those districts. That was the reason. Now, when all the migrants have gone back, the conditions have become even worse in the villages. We have rescued some children who were working who have been trafficked for Bengal industry, and while talking to one of them, they said it very clearly that my father is a rickshaw puller. I'm supposed to be and we have 5 brothers and sisters. What do we do about it? I was studying in the school, but I have to leave. And when the trafficker came and said, when father offered that, he said he would like to go, but trafficker said no, they want a child who's with the nimble fingers. And so he has to come, though he wanted to study, but he has to come. So the conditions in the villages have become really very, very bad. And people, when they left from during the lockdown, they vowed that they will not be coming back to work.
Right.
But now you can imagine when they're coming back, the conditions have been worse than the lockdown back in the villages.
Right. But the problem continues. And I suppose the root question really is what needs to happen to prevent children from being exploited for work?
See, India luckily have one of the best welfare schemes available. But irony is that those schemes are not reaching to the people. We have our models in which we have used, we call it a Bal Gram model, which we work for prevention of child labor, child trafficking. We successfully did it in those areas where the children were, either that there was rampant trafficking or the large number of children were working. It was just access of the government services to the people. And that was good enough for them to withdraw the children from work and put them into school and stop the children and not sending the children to work. So government needs to be proactive in providing the social welfare schemes to in the villages. Education system, schools, teachers needs to be improved. The school systems needs to be improved. We are talking of teachers coming into the village school teaching. There's one teacher who's teaching all the classes from 1 to 5. There's just one teacher teaching. There's no other teacher. And he is also being used for other work. So these are the systems which we need to improve in the villages. And if we are able to do that, then I'm sure that trafficking will automatically stop. But it has to come from proactively from the government machinery and the government people.
Right. Improvement at the grassroots level is what you're saying. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Dhananjay Tingal, Executive Director of the child rights NGO Bachpan Bachao Andolan.